G'day, it's Pete here, and I'm back for another featured lesson. Now, today what we're going to look for is the effect of position. So, what seat you're actually sitting in, how does that change your bidding decisions? Most people don't give this a lot of thought, but it's actually a very valuable thing that your aggression or your suit quality and things like that should really vary based on what seat you're in, because your objectives are also changing. So today we're going to go through and we'll look at how position affects preempting, how it affects opening, or how it affects overcalling. There are other things it affects, but this is the vast majority of the times that it should sway your decision. So anyway, we'll start with preempting. And what I'm going to go through is talk about what is the minimum that I'd need to sort of preempt in the different seats, and talk a little bit about what our objectives are and what your general strategy should be. Now, with preempting, not only does position matter, but vulnerability matters a lot. So here I'm talking about being nil vulnerable. Vulnerability is probably more of a factor in preempting than position. But positioning is a very important one as well. So you want to adjust your preamps based on vulnerability and position. But today we're just going to focus on how position will affect it, and we're looking at when we're not vulnerable. So just a general guideline. Preempting in first position, if you're the first person to act, is really good. You want to have aggressive preempting style in first position. Now the reason for this is you've only got one partner and you've got two opponents. Now, whoever's got a lot of points, it's awkward when you've been preempted to deal with the hand when you've got a decent amount of points. Because you don't have all the room. Now, if you preempt your partner, it's not a great thing, but if you preempt the opponents, then that is a good thing. Now, there are two opponents, only one partner that might have a lot of points, so you're sort of 2-to-1 odds that you're going to annoy your opponents more than your partner. So in first position, you want aggressive weak twos. You want to get into the auction and push a lot. Now, I would preempt two spades on this hand. Now, it doesn't fit the rules of having two of the top three, or three of the top five, or 6 to 9 points, or any of that. Like, nearly every rule of preempting, I think, is too conservative, especially when not vulnerable, or even better, favorable. So here, I've got a okay suit, I've got the king and the 10, I've got a bit of shape, I've got things like that. But the main thing is, I'm in first position. So here, I would want to be more aggressive, and anything resembling a preempt, I'll get in there and preempt. Just because it's so effective in this position to take away space from the opponents. So, first seat, you want to really get in there, aggressive preempting style in first seat. What about if you move over to second seat? What are your objectives here? So let's say that the first person passes and we're now the second person to act. Well, in this stage we want to be a lot more conservative. So on the rationale of who's got the bulk of the points, we already know that East doesn't have them. So it's between North and West here. So it's now a 50-50 shot of who we preempt. So for that, in second seat, you want to have more conservative preempting style. Now, I'm still a very aggressive preempter and things like that. So this would be the minimum I would sort of preempt on. So I'd bid two spades here, second seat now. So this time I've got much better suit quality. I got King, Jack, 10, 9 of spades, and I've got that little bit of shape, but I don't have the points. So when I'm second seat, I actually want a decent suit quality, or I want a decent amount of points. I want either or when I'm preempting second seat. So it's more conservative second seat. This is probably the worst seat for preempting because of your chance of hitting your partner. So you want to tone back what your preempting style is like when you're in second seat. So it doesn't need to go drastically far away, but you do want to pull it back a bit, have a little bit better preempting, because you'll be preempting your partner more often than other situations. So for this, you want to be more, so just tone it back a bit. So not as wild as in first seat. So second seat, more conservative. Of the rules that you're going to follow, you want to only bend a rule or two, but not as many of them. In first seat, I didn't care about Do I have the suit quality? Do I have the points? That sort of stuff at nil vulnerable. Remember, vulnerability is still very important. We're just talking about nil here. The general guideline for preempting that I have vulnerability, I'll just touch on it quickly. Favorable, so if we're not vulnerable and they are, anything goes. All the rules are out the window. You be really aggressive. Nil vol, you can bend some of the rules, but you want a bit of shape or something like that. All vulnerable, that's when the rules apply. You want to be nice, like what the rules suggest, that is for all vulnerable. And when you're unfavorable, where you're vulnerable and they're not, then the rules aren't conservative enough. You really want a really good suit quality, and that is of the utmost importance. You want really good suit quality when you're preempting vulnerable against not. And the general guidelines, I don't think, are strict enough. That's just my take on vulnerability, but just a brief touch on it. So here, we're nil vulnerable, so you can bend some of the rules. So here I don't have the points, but I do have the suit quality. So here, second seat, I want to be cautious, as we mentioned, and I think 2 spades. This would be my minimum 2 spade bid. All right, so here, second seat, I just changed it to all vulnerable. If it goes past here, this here at all vulnerable would be my bare minimum. So here I've now jacked it up to 7 points. I've given myself the king 10 of hearts. I've still got that shape. If you took that singleton away from me, I probably wouldn't be preempting 2 spades at all vulnerable. So I just thought I'd chuck this in here. Still need the good suit quality. This is like bare minimum for me, second seat, all vulnerable. So you want to be pretty cautious at that. All right, what about third seat? So here, if it's gone 2 passes to you, things change again. So first of all, you know your partner doesn't have a good hand. So that's out the window. So you're not really trying to bid games anymore. And if anyone's got a whole bunch of points, it's going to be West. Okay, they're the one that's going to, they might struggle over the preempt. So what should your preempting style be in third position? So in third position, what I like is a wide-ranging preemptive style. So I'll preempt on some really weak hands, I'll preempt on some really strong hands. I want to keep them guessing, and basically I don't need to worry about annoying my partner anymore because they've said they don't have a good hand. So all I want my partner to be able to judge on is, should I bid on with a good fit? So if I want my partner to raise with a good fit, then I can preempt on that, and that's the only real decision that they're going to have. They're not going to be doubling the opponents too often as a passed hand, and that's one of the big upshots of preempting, is that when the opponents misstep and come out of line, that they might go down. So when you're preempting in third seat, I like a wide range of preempts because you don't want to just lock it in as a certain type and have it easy to bid over. You want to make it tough for the opponents, but one of them is that I'll have a good hand. So here, I would be happy to open 2 spades on this. Now, in other seats, I would usually open this 1 spade. I think this is fine for a 1 spade opening. But in third seat, I don't mind opening it 2 spades and taking away space from the opponents, making them do some guesswork. So, 2 spades here, wide ranging. I could even go a bit stronger than this, up to around 12 points, something where opposite a passed hand, I don't think I'm missing game unless my partner's got a really good fit. And if my partner's got a good fit, they'll raise me anyway. So if I've got, there will be some opening hands that'll open all week too, because I'm happy to do it wide ranging. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can do other things as well. Let's say it goes pass to you, and you've got this. Here I've got 6 points, and I've only got a 5-card suit. But again, I know I'm not preempting my partner. I want to make it tough. If I've got a good spade fit, I want them to raise. And I want to take space away from West, because bidding over preempts can be quite difficult, and they don't have space. So in third seat, if you're not vulnerable, being vulnerable, I wouldn't really preempt a 5-card suit, but not vulnerable, I don't mind getting in there and bidding a 5-card suit a week too. So as I mentioned, in third seat, it's a very wide spectrum here. So you can put some good hands in there, so if they just keep bidding over your preempts, they'll go down sometimes. But you can also put some weak hands in there, just to take away space. And you can also put hands with just 5-card suits in it, just so that it makes makes it difficult if you preempt them. So preempts are really strong for taking away space from the opponents. And in third seat, when your partner isn't particularly relevant to the deal anymore because they're a passed hand, you can do this on a wide range of hands and take away lots of space from the opponents and keep them guessing. You don't want any just uniform, this is how they can predict it. Your partner is not going to be too relevant. The main thing that they'll be doing is they will be bidding on if they have a good fit. So that's what you want if you are considering preempting. So this would be absolute minimum for me for a 2-spade bid, a 5-card suit and a 6-count with a singleton. If I didn't have that singleton, I wouldn't be doing this. But still a relevant thing that, you know, you can try these sorts of things in third position. Third position, it's sort of like open, free game. You can do whatever you want. Because your partner's a passed hand, you're not going to be preempting them out of a game or anything like that anymore. So you want a sort of mixed strategy that can cause havoc on the opponents. And you want to work out how you can do that. And finally, what if you're in fourth position? So if it goes pass, pass, pass to you, and you're in fourth to act. Now, when you're fourth to act, you don't want to be preempting on weak hands anymore. So normal preempting bids, you don't want to open 2s anymore. Now the reason for this is when you actually preempt, you're actually expecting to go down the majority of the time. You're overstating your hand's capabilities. Now if you were going to preempt on a weak hand, then overstating your capabilities and expecting to go down would be a bad idea when your other option is just passing it out. So if you could just pass it out and let that go, then that would be a better idea. So when you do preempt in fourth position, they're sort of intermediate values. Now, people have different ranges for this. I like it to be sort of 10 to 13 with a 6-card suit, which basically means that we're probably not making game, but again, if you have a good fit for me, then we might do it. So if you've got a good fit, raise me, but if you've just got some bad, like 10 count or something, don't worry about it. So if you're in fourth chair, you want intermediate values with like a 6-card suit so that you can preempt. Like you're expecting to make it when you bid 2 spades, and you're encouraging your partner to bid game if they've got decent fitting cards with you. Otherwise you can just open at the 1 level. If instead someone opens in some chair, then this is very similar to third position, where you want a mixed strategy, wide ranging. You can do it on some good hands or some poor hands, because your partner is a passed hand. So it's very similar to third position on what you should actually do there. Alright, so that's about preempting. So we talked about first position, where you want to be aggressive. Get in there, have quite aggressive weak 2s. Most of the rules for me don't really matter too much, depending on vulnerability. In second chair, that's your worst position for preempting, because you've got like a 50-50 shot of annoying your partner or the opponent. So a bit more conservative in second chair. Third to act, you want a wide ranging. You can do some good hands, you can do some really weak hands and make it tough. And in fourth, you want to have intermediate jumps. So it's no longer weak 2s, they're like 10 to 12 or 10 to 13. Some people play other ranges instead, but it just depends on your partnership. It shouldn't be less than 10 points for sure. So that is preempting and how position should affect that. If we instead look at opening, so by the way, all of them were my minimum ones. They were all borderline cases, not my average one. Obviously, you can go a lot better than all those hands, but that would be my worst case scenario. And your partner shouldn't always expect you to have the worst, but they should understand that your hand can go that low, or be those sorts of hand types. So now let's talk about opening. So opening hands. Opening's really effective. If you open the bidding, you put the opponents on the defensive. So when you're the overcalling side, a lot of your actions are about sort of taking away space from the opponents. And it's not really about like, you have some constructive bids, but you don't have nearly as many constructive options as you do if you're the opening side. So if you open the bidding, you put the opponents on the defensive, and it's a really effective tool to have aggressive openings. So I really like aggressive openings, and even more so, vulnerability matters again. Now, if I'm all vulnerable, if I'm vulnerable, I just have my normal opening style. But if I'm not vulnerable, or even favorable, I like aggressive openings. So in first chair, being able to put your opponents on the defensive by opening, I would do that on a hand like this. Here I've only got 10 high card points, but I've got some good shape, and I've got good suits. So here, this would be the absolute minimum that I would open. I've got a 5-4 3-1 shape with good suits and 10 points. So I'm happy to open this. My normal opening style for me is 11 counts with a 5-card suit, I'll always open, and all 12 counts I'll open. If I'm not vulnerable, I open all 11 counts. If I'm vulnerable, I need that previous one where... so vulnerable, I want 11 counts with a 5-card suit, or 12 counts. If I'm not vulnerable, I'll open 11 counts, so I've already shaded it down a point. And if I've got some good shape or good suits like that, I'm still happy to get in there and have a nice aggressive opening bid. So here I'm happy to open 1 spade and try and put the opponents on the defensive. If you move to second position, then basically what I'll do is I'll just have my normal opening style. So 11 counts with a 5-card suit, or all 12 counts. Also, if I'm not vulnerable, then I'm happy to open an 11 count. So whatever your normal opening style is, second seat, that's when you should do it. You don't need to be too aggressive second chair, because just like before, in first chair you had 2 opponents that could have lots of points, and if you put them on the defensive, they might not be able to untangle it, and you've got one partner that wants to try and do constructive bidding, and you usually have lots of ways to wind it back even after you open. In second chair, there's only one opponent that could have lots of points, so you just want your normal opening style in second position. So here I'm happy to open 11 count with a 5-card suit, so happy to get in there with 5 spades. If it goes, if you're in third seat and it goes pass to you, now in third position you can open light. Now again, putting the opponents on the defensive is a really good thing, and if it goes pass to you, you know your chances of game are out the window. And if you can put the opponents on the defensive when you know that your hand should be on the defensive, you know that you don't have game on. So if you can skew your opponent's style by opening light in third, that's quite effective. So here I would open 1 spade. So why would I open 1 spade on this one? So first of all, third position, you can open a bit light. What you do want is good suits for your partner to lead. So you want some lead directional value. You don't just do it on any hand. So if partner leads a spade, I'm very happy on this hand. So if you've got a suit that you want your partner to lead, get in there and open it a little bit light. Your partner can't go off to game, so you know that they're not going to escalate the auction too much. So there's no great danger. There are some dangers of opening light in third, but no serious dangers. So here, if you've got a good suit, happy to open it. Now you typically want 8 or more points, because if you go less than that, you're getting into the territory of it being considered a psych. So you don't really want to do that. But if you've got a good suit, 8 or more points, I'm happy to open that in third. Even if I'm vulnerable, I'd probably open this 1 spade. Maybe you want to be more conservative there. I'd like a little bit more, but it's still worth due consideration opening light in third position. And the whole idea is when you open, you put the opponents on the defensive and it makes it tough for them. But also, if you've got a suit that you want your partner to lead, you may as well tell them when you've got a safe opportunity to it. So it can make it a lot tougher for the opponents here. And what about fourth position? So if it goes 3 passes to you, what should be opening? Now, there's a general guideline called the Rule of 15, which will help you choose whether or not you should open hands. And how this works, now even though it says it's the Rule of 15, it's only a guideline. You can choose whether to follow it or not. But what it suggests is you count your high card points and your number of spades, and if that equals 15, you should open it, and if it's less than 15, you should pass. So here we've got 12 high card points and only 2 spades, so we're at 14. So even though this is a hand that will open in every other position, it suggests that you should pass this out. Now, the reason being for that is when it goes pass, 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 all the points are relatively evenly split between the hands. So this is just going to be a part score deal. And if it's going to be a part score deal, if you're in the position where you're considering passing it out, that means it's going to be a part score deal. And if it's going to be a part score deal, the suit that usually wins this is spades. So if we have the spade suit, we're probably going to win the hand. Whereas if the opponents have the spade suit, they can get to 2 spades, and the 3 level might not be safe for us. So we probably don't want to open this hand. So here, you can just pack this one away and just pass it in. So again, the Rule of 15 is just a guideline. You don't have to follow it. There are many hands with extra distribution or good suits and things like that that'll open anyway. But it's a general guideline of what you should or shouldn't do. And here, pass, 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 even though I'd open this hand in any other position, I think putting this one away is a good idea, because the opponents could be making 2 spades on this hand, and just passing it out seems completely sensible. Alright, so that is about opening. So in first position, you want to be aggressive, especially not vulnerable. You can shade a point or so just to get in their way a bit. Second seat, you want normal opening. So whatever your normal partnership standard opening is, definitely follow it in second seat. In third seat, you can open light. You can be more aggressive because you know your partner doesn't have a good hand, and you want to put the opponents on the defensive and get that good lead in. So you can make lead directional opening bids, which you might do as low as 8 points if you want to shade it. And in fourth chair, you want to use the Rule of 15 as a guideline of whether or not you want to actually open these hands. Alright, so let's move on to overcalling. So how does position affect what you should be overcalling on? If you're in second seat, third seat, or fourth seat. So if the opponent's open, what should you consider overcalling on? So if you're second chair, you want aggressive opening. So my general idea is get in early and get out of the auction. So you want to poke your head in, make a bit of noise, see if it's safe to go on. So I like to be quite aggressive overcalling in the direct chair. So first of all, it takes away space from the opponents, makes life a little bit more difficult. The 1 level is very safe for you to get in on. So if I can get in at the 1 level, I strongly consider doing it, and it's nice and safe. So here in second seat, pretty aggressive. So most people say 8 or more points to overcall. I'm happy to shade that down a bit more if I've got a little bit of shape or a good suit or something like that. So here I would bid 1 spade. Second position, you want nice aggressive overcalling. If you instead go to third position, so let's say our partner passes, next hand opens. So in this position, you want to be a little bit more conservative, because it's probably not your hand, but things that you do want to do if you're making an aggressive overcall is you want good suit quality. So in third position, suit quality matters a lot more. So here with this really good suit, I'm happy to overcall 1 spade. Not so much about the points. If I didn't have the good suit quality, I would want my points to be up a bit. So here I've got this 9 count, and it goes pass, and the opponent's open. So here with this 9 count, I would say maybe, maybe not. The one before, which had a 7 count with a really good suit, I'd say definitely bid that one. Suit quality is really important in that position. But here my suit quality is pretty mediocre. It's probably going to be the opponent's hand. And if they bail out at the 2 level, I could balance with 2 spades. This one I think is close. I don't mind a one spade overcall on this, but I think it's pretty marginal, even though I've got 2 more points than the previous time. So suit quality matters a lot more in this third position. And in fourth position, so it's the same as in third position. So if it goes pass, pass, or if it goes bid, pass, bid, you want good suit quality. So suit quality, like in second chair, you want aggressive overcalls. You want to get your suits in the way. But in third or fourth, the opponents have had more time to find out information. Fourth position, where if both opponents have bid, they know a lot about the hand. So consider making a lead directional overcall if you think that your partner is going to be on lead. But other than that, you want to be a bit more conservative. Anyway, that's all I was going to talk about on the effect of position, on how that should affect your bidding. We covered preempting, overcalling, and opening. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.